Assalamu alaikum. Sulman Rahim here. Welcome to Critical Analytics. This is my second program today. It's just a redux of the first one. The first one was like a trial, trying to work out all the system bugs. And I didn't cover all the topics I wanted to cover. So this is just a follow-up. It's normally to be presented. The program is presented live on YouTube for anyone that wants to call in or link in and present their point of view or ask any questions. But this one is not live, just a follow-up. But hopefully tomorrow we'll continue, and we may have different hosts on particular days. So if you're listening, feel free. If you've sent a comment, then we will send you the link, and you can link in to the Google Meet and express yourself. So a couple topics today. So this is geared to critical analytics, looking at the topics of the day in a very critical analytical way, so that all things come together mathematically, scripturally, socially, politically. But we're looking at it from a critical analytic perspective. No superstition, no conjecture, no BS, just critical analytics. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. So we're going to cover a few topics today. My main things, the topic of the day is racism. This is a follow-up. And particularly when they had situations, they had several situations. One of the ones we want to highlight is the one you see. The sister refused to respect a flag that deserves no respect. But that has them hounding. Oh, they're hounding. Well, she should respect the flag. Why should she? This is not our flag. We didn't ask to come over here. We've been denied humanity for 400 years by that flag. So why should we respect it? These people are totally sick. So 3 cheers for the sister. She stood up. Need more like her. See? Because this flag deserves no honor, no respect, none. For what? For beating us, torturing us, taking everything away from us, dehumanizing us. They reduce us to the level of animals, and a lot of us are still in that state right now. And they had no compassion, no respect for us, no love for us, no mercy, nothing. We was treated worse than animals. A dog had more rights than we did. So why should we honor anything about this country? They wouldn't. If the shoes were on another foot, they wouldn't. They'd be worse than that. And they keep telling us, oh, well, you can protest. You had a right to protest peacefully. She was protesting peacefully, so why are you upset? Well, she shouldn't do that. See, because they don't want you to protest at all. See, they want you, when they gave freedom of speech, they thought they were so great that everybody had something good to say. That's what they thought. Because they think they're great. Let's move on, brothers and sisters. This, okay, there we go. Racism is our topic. I'll try to keep it brief, Brother Cisco. Like I said, this is a redux. See? Racism didn't exist prior to 6,000 years ago. The idea of race didn't exist prior to 6,000 years ago. There was only one humanity. So, what's that race? What was that all about? One humanity. It was divided into 3 tribes, but it was only one humanity. See? So, the idea of race didn't come about until Dr. Yakub produced mankind, something like humanity. That's why I call it mankind. You know, like the Quran says, Allah will raise a beast up from the earth that will speak to you. So it'll be a speaking beast. Appear to be human, but not. As it's said in the so-called New Testament, you know, they're the form of God, godliness, see, but denies his power. So when Dr. Yakub came with his creation, mankind, then you had 2 types of, what would you call it? Um, not humanity, but you had a race then between mankind and man. See, because you had 2 different visions, you had 2 different natures, 2 distinct natures, and there was a race that began a race to what will prevail, which one will win, which one will overcome the other one. That's why I call it race, because Dr. Yakub started the race. Now it's a race to establish whose vision, whose nature will prevail. That's the idea of race, because there's a race. It's literally a race through time. Because we're constantly creating time. But they're creating time, and we're creating time. See? And who's going to prevail? Because the time they're creating, right, we don't exist in. And the time we creating, they don't exist in. They create a mechanical, electronic reality, and we reinstating our biological reality. It's a race. Why I call it race? There was no such thing as race prior to 6,000 years ago. And it won't be after. That's what I did. That's why I call it a race, because it is a race. Okay? And you're in that race, but a lot of you are losing that race because you run in the wrong direction. You know? It's like a football, right? The opposing team gets the ball, but they run in the wrong direction. They run towards the field with the wrong 10-yard line. Run the opposite direction. They're going to score for the enemy, score for the opposing team. June 28th. What vision will win the war of Armageddon? Racism. Who's going to win that race? There's a race through time. Every day, they're getting closer and closer to the realization of their vision. Realization of their vision. Their language speaks a lot about the truth. I mean, if you analyze their language, that tells you a lot of truth right there. Who's going to win it? That's what the race is. And a lot of you are going in the wrong direction because you got infiltrators amongst our ranks. The chaff sown amongst the wheat. Infiltrators. See? Except to send you in the wrong direction. They had a movie like that, The Battle of the Bulge. And Germans sent infiltrators into the American lines, right, to change all the street sides and everything. Have everybody going the wrong direction. That's what's happened to you. These demons all have you going the wrong direction to your destruction. Infiltrators. The devil's seed sowed amongst our seed for the last 6,000 years, 600 years, specifically the last 464 years. But it started 600 years ago when they first started moving to Africa. They started moving in there, and Africans were afraid of them. They thought they had leprosy. Because from an African point of view, leprosy turns you all white. So they thought all the Caucasians had leprosy, afraid of them. So they had to find another way to go in and ravage Africa. So they kidnapped the women, produced children. That was their children. Taught them, just like, they're their children. And taught them how to go in and fool us unsuspecting black people, which they did very effectively. And it's still working now. The demon's still working now. Chief demon sitting over there in Elijah Muhammad's seat. See? Doing lots of damage. Okay, so we're going to view this first, and then we'll talk about it.
Minutes, we'll be joined by Jared Bernstein, an economic advisor for President Biden, and we'll talk to him in just a minute. But I want to bring you back to that story that we teased with Jennifer Griffin, national security correspondent, about the firing back and forth between the U.S. and Iranian-backed militias.
1 second, let me kind of like make a small adjustment here. I don't want to be in the way. Oops, not that one. So by the way here. Well, actually, I just do it this way. Okay, proceed.
U.S. Air Force F-15 and F-16 struck 3 targets on the Iraq-Syria border. The Pentagon says that's where Iranian-backed militias have been assembling drones that have been attacking U.S. personnel at military bases in Iraq. In response, hours later, pro-Shia militias fired multiple rockets at U.S. forces in Syria, targeting a U.S. coalition base at the oil field in Deir ez-Zor. A coalition spokesman said there were no injuries. Iran will never get a nuclear weapon on my watch, as they say. I directed last night's airstrikes targeting sites used by the Iranian-backed militia group responsible for recent attacks on U.S. personnel in Iraq. The White House responded to criticism from the Iraqi prime minister that one of the airstrikes was inside Iraq and violated Iraqi sovereignty. The prime minister is a partner. He has a tough job. His statement called for de-escalation from all sides, and we agree with that. But the attacks against our troops need to stop. U.S. officials described the airstrikes as necessary, appropriate, and deliberate, designed to deter Iran and its proxies. We have been very clear, the president has been very clear throughout, that we will act to protect U.S. personnel. And given these ongoing attacks that you referred to by Iran-backed groups targeting our interests in Iraq. 5 times since April, Iranian-backed militias have sent small explosive-laden drones to dive bomb into Iraqi bases where CIA and American Special Operations personnel are based. The U.S. airstrikes were carried out a little more than a week after Iran elected a hardliner, Ibrahim Raisi, as its next president. That's definitely what the U.S. is doing, is disrupting the security of the region, and one victim of this instability will be the U.S. itself. We've just learned the U.S. military responded with artillery fire today inside Syria when faced with those incoming rockets. This as the U.S. tries to return to talks with Iran about the nuclear deal, and Iran refuses to allow monitors in, adding it won't hand over the security camera video from the sites where UN inspectors have been monitoring until now. Brett? Jennifer Griffin, live at the Pentagon. Jennifer, thank you. We'll follow that story. Today, stocks were mixed. The Dow lost 151. The S&P 500. minutes, we'll be joined by Jared Barnstein.
Okay, brothers and sisters, the war in the Middle East is heating up. Like I said, the war started in May, and it's just heating up. It tells you the war will start in May, and it's just heating up. It started, hasn't stopped. It's heating up. This is just one of many things that's happened. Now, what people might not understand is Iraq. They may be Arabs, but they're also a Shiite country. They're Shia country. Majority of people are Shia. The overwhelming majority, not just 50%, the overwhelming majority is Shia. Saddam Hussein was able to control it with the Sunni because he had the help of Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and all these different places, but it's dominated by the Shia. And they're allied with the Shia in Iran. And when America goes to war with Iran, the Shia in Iraq is going to join in. America knows this. That's why they're keeping Iraq under control. And now they're hitting targets in Iraq, which is supposed to be allied with America, at least that's what they think. So why are they attacking targets in Iraq? They're saying, well, they're Shia proxies, what means is that they're acting on behalf of the Shia, of Iran. See? So they're attacking them, but Iraq is supposed to be a sovereign country. But sovereignty means nothing to these people. They claim, they talk, but that's just BS. As the Bible says, right? It says they're like a brick building with no mortar between the bricks. So it looks strong, it looks viable, it looks impressive, looks daunting, but you just push it over. Because it has nothing, anybody's done bricklaying, no, you got to pour it between there, or it's like glue to keep the bricks together. If you don't have that there, you just push them over. And so that's what America's word, America's Constitution, America's all this, that's what it's worthless. It's just like the so-called war of Civil War. When you look at that, the South was right. The Constitution was in their favor. They didn't care when they wanted to do it. It was economic war. The North says, hey man, we tired of y'all competing with slavery, competing with them in the labor market. So they went to war. They didn't care about the Constitution. And you got these Negroes trying to tell us that we should rely on the Constitution that was written by pedophiles and racists and sick people, rapers and oppressors and genocidal maniacs. Yet still, they wrote some kind of document that we should live by, that they even classified us as not even human in it. And they were enslaving us at the time. That document wasn't meant for us. But you got these demons trying to tell you that. See? So, that's the story. Their word means nothing, absolutely nothing. And they're trying to get us to depend on it. See, like, if they remember democracy, if they get tired of your black behind, they can vote you right back on the fields anytime they want to. That's what democracy is all about. So you depend on their good nature, which they don't have. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I wanted to bring that up because that happened today. See, we're talking about critical analysis of day's events. That's what we're all about, current, but a critical analysis. Remember, that is their land over there, at least from their perspective. America's over there. They ain't over here. It's truly our land distill all down. But we're not talking about that right now. But they're over there they're over in their territory. Let's put it like that. That's their territory right now. And they're over there. See? But America says, well, we attacked because we want the right of defense, but they allow them the right of defense. They allow Iran said, well, we want nuclear weapons because defense against Israel. No, see, that's denied. You can't do that. See, because they reserve the right to say whatever they want to say, to do what they want to say, and they make the definitions. See, just like this thing about World War II when they attacked when they went to war with Japan. Now, if a country embargoed, you know what embargo is? That means like they put ships and everything around the country to prevent any goods going in and out. They control anything that go in and out. Now Japan's an island country. America had an embargo around Japan where they could not see Japan. They forced Japan. I'm not going into details. They put Japan to modernize, so-called modernize, become an industrial society. Japan didn't want to do that. It was a feudal society, so they forced them to do it. So once they did it, they being very technical people. Before you know it, right? They had built a great industry. They had a powerful military and everything. See, but when you have those machines have to be fed. Had to feed those machines. And Japan, being an island country, didn't have the resources, right? So they had to get the resources of other people. That's the same thing that sparked the British expansion, because they're an island country also. And they did not have the resources to fuel this new economy that was coming in. See, so they went and took from everybody else. You could almost predict that would happen if they had the power to do it. And Japan did the same thing. So they started moving to China and Vietnam and everything and taking resources, right? So America didn't do anything until they got in the war with Hitler, and Japan was allied with Hitler, and the American public didn't want to go to war with Germany because they was down with Germany. I mean, they didn't have a problem with Germany doing. They had a problem with killing Jews. They had a problem with racism and all stuff that Hitler was espousing. They had a problem with that. Yeah, people here were celebrating for it. Not only that, but most people don't realize this. But you think most of the people in America, the Caucasians, are from Britain. That's not true. Though they may speak English, most of them are from Germany. Check it out. Google it. See, so they didn't want to attack Germany. But so Roosevelt was at a quandary because, right, Britain is is the husband of America, right? But Germany was the brother of America because most people here from Germany. See, and in Germany, the brother was attacking the father because Britain is the father and America is the mother. See, so therefore he wanted to stop them from. So therefore he had to get in the war. Get in the war is he had to go to war. So he decided, hey, we go to war, get in the war. But if we get in a fight with Japan, right? We get in a fight with them, right? Then we're technically at war with Germany because Japan's allied with Germany, and they had a pact that if one gets attacked, they would help both of them be attacked. So if they can get a war with Japan, then America would have to go to war with Germany. That's how they figure out to do it. So therefore, they put an embargo around Japan, and anybody knows it. Anybody put an embargo around America, they're going to be toast in half a second, not sooner. So embargo technically is an act of war. Embargo is an act of war. But see, America doesn't define it as act of war when they don't want it to be an act of war. So America was technically at war with Japan. They were technically at war with Japan, and they put an embargo up. They knew exactly what Japan would do. Japan had a powerful navy, right? A powerful military. They knew exactly what to do. They was going to fight back to break up that embargo. So they said, because the embargo was made with ships. So they said, well, the main shipyard, right, is in Hawaii. So if they destroy the ships, America would have a ship to keep maintaining an embargo. That's why they went and attacked Hawaii. They didn't go and try to go inland. They didn't come on inland in America, right? They just went to stop to destroy the ships so they could break up the embargo. And that's what Roosevelt was. See, they attacked us for no reason. They stabbed us in the back. It was all bullshit. But they always sell stuff to America because they know American people are stupid. See, because they know they can tell them anything because they believe anything because they don't tell them anything. America was technically at war with Japan, and that's where Japan went to destroy the ships in Hawaii, right, to break up that embargo. They didn't go inland, send soldiers on Hawaii, or none of that sort. And they could have done it. They didn't do anything like that. So that's how Roosevelt was able to get America to war with Germany. So That's pretty much what's going over there because they want a war, but they also list this message too. You may not realize they do. They want the war. They don't want over there right now. See, that's the second stage. The first stage, they want a war with China and Russia. See, but they're over there doing their thing because this is what false Israel wants. See? So sow within, sow without. So I'm just leaving you with that because you see it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And they're over there, and like I said, they define whatever they want to find. So Iraq says, hey, we're a sovereign country. You claim that you came over here to free us from Saddam Hussein. Yeah, but you control the country. So what did you come over for? Did you really come over here because of that? Or you come over here to take our oil? Because that's exactly what they're doing. They're doing in Syria. They're taking the people's oil. Why? Why are they taking Syrian oil? Don't America have enough oil from every place else? So why taking Syria? They claim, what did Syria ever do to America? See? Let's move on to the next one. Oh.
Of an economic advisor for President Biden, and we'll talk to him in just a minute. But I want to bring you back to that story that we teased with Jennifer Griffin, national security correspondent, about the firing back and forth between the U.S. and Iranian-backed militias.
Oh, we just did that one.
U.S. Air Force F-15 and F-16 struck 3 targets on the Iraq-Syria border. The Pentagon says that's where Iranian-backed militias.
Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see what this one says.
It was another bloody weekend in several big cities as America's crime crisis worsens this summer. New York Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says concern over the violence is hysteria. But in New York tonight, police are adding extra patrols and blockades in Midtown Manhattan to try to keep tourists from being scared off following the shooting of a bystander Sunday. Correspondent Aisha Hasdi is in New York tonight.
A 21-year-old Marine is wheeled away on a stretcher after he's shot in the back in broad daylight while visiting Times Square with his family. The incident just the latest in a string of violent crime in the Big Apple. This weekend alone, a total of 23 people were shot in 19 shootings. New York City's Mayor Bill de Blasio announcing he'll send in more officers to the area to keep tourists safe.
The bottom line is we are going to flood the zone in Times Square with additional officers to make sure this situation is resolved once and for all.
In Chicago, 74 people were hurt in 46 shootings over the weekend as Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez dismisses concerns about crime spikes in big cities.
I also want to make sure that this hysteria, this doesn't drive a hysteria and that we look at these numbers in context.
Her comments come as President Biden tells states and cities to use money from the $350 billion American Rescue Plan for more police and to stop the flow of illegal guns.
But at the time, council is that these local police departments might have a pandemic-related budget shortfall. We need to keep cops on the beat because there's a crime wave.
I think that any local department would argue that keeping cops on the beat to keep communities safe when they had to, because of budget shortfalls, fire police is something that helps them address crime in their local communities. Meanwhile, Democrats and Republicans are arguing over who's at fault.
When we were in Congress last year trying to pass an emergency relief plan for cities that were cash-strapped and laying off police and firefighters, it was the Republicans who objected to it. But the truth is, they defunded the police. That is the most ridiculous thing I've heard all year long. What we've seen is a 40%.
This is Uncle Tom here. Stone Cold Demon. Okay. Let's listen to him. Okay. He's supposed to be a state senator. Didn't get elected, he got somebody appointed. He would never got appointed if he was a Stone Cold Uncle Tom, certified, bona fide, ratified. When you go and you see, when you go on TV, Hollywood, or whatever, those people that's starring or whatever, they're master's children. When we was in the field, only master's children got to be and get those parts. They were the only ones allowed to be in the house because he knew they was his children, and he had no problem with them. Only thing they wanted was recognition that that was their daddy. They wanted dad to recognize them. That's all they wanted. See, they had no problem with what was going on. They wanted dad to recognize because they didn't care about the niggers in the field either. They didn't care about them because they didn't have no the connect. Them niggas, they looked at us the same way their fathers did. In fact, even more so because they thought that we, right, was the reason why their fathers wasn't recognizing them because we were so niggerish, beast. See, but they talking about crime here. We wasn't criminals before we came over here. We didn't have jails and prisons. Have any of that. They made criminals. They talking about criminals, and they was talking about the blacks, the criminals. But blacks was made in America. Negroes was made in America. Negroes was made in America. Negroes were made in America. This is what they made. They made, and now they step back and say, look at them. It's like somebody building a car and then mocking the car. I mean, you built it. You made them people like that. And a lot of them are your people. A lot of them are demons. A lot of them are your people that's doing all that damage. Crime. There's all kinds of, see, one reason why they could stop that if they wanted to. If they really want to stop, they could stop it. They could stop drugs if they wanted to. They didn't want to stop it. How are they getting all those guns and stuff? You mean the FBI and everything and CIA, they go all these countries, destabilize countries and everything else. They can't figure out how these young kids are getting guns over there, how they getting them. And they can keep these gangs so smart, so intelligent, right? They got all this super secret organizations that they're smarter than the CIA. And I mean, this bullshit. They can stop it. They don't want to stop it because as long as they blacks acting like that, because that's their children that's doing that, that makes us look bad. See, that gives more and more impetus for them behind the scenes to say, we got to get rid of them. They're the ones causing problems in our cities. See, go look at it. Crime, curbing crime. Who are they talking about? They ain't talking about curbing white crime. They're talking about curbing you. How are they going to do that? See, they already got over 1 million a year in prison. 3-strike laws, 3-strike rules, right? You can go out there and steal an apple 3 times, one still on Monday, and then still one on Wednesday, and you still one on Friday. That's the last Friday you're going to see. But you're going to spend about 1 million Fridays, right, in some hole in the wall somewhere. 3 strikes you out. See? Sad.
Increase in violent crime in May 6th because the Democrats have been defunding the police for the last year.
And Brett, back here in New York City, police flooded at Times Square late last night. We're told there are more than 100 uniformed officers patrolling right now. Brett?
Asha, I say live in Times Square. Asha, thanks. The U.S. Supreme Court.
Let's look at this.
There was another bloody weekend in several big cities as America's.
Let's look at this. All this crime, right? America's been crime-ridden from the day they stepped on this continent. What you think wiping out the Native Americans were? Genocide, was that a crime? How long did that go on? Murdering, slaughtering women and children. They camped out in their little teepees and whatever, right? And this they know, here come the cavalry. Killing women, children, everybody. They just sitting there, resting, doing what they do. Come and wipe them all out. And that wasn't racism. Why'd you do that? It's their land. They wasn't bothering you. You didn't care if they was at war with you or not. If there was war, remember, defending themselves. That's what you say. People should be able to defend themselves. Well, if they was fighting with you, they was defending themselves because you was over here. They wasn't over there. See? Defend themselves. Because you're attacking them and wiping them out, killing their women and children. But first, you're talking about biological warfare. You're the first one did it. Smallpox blankets. You're talking about crime. You're the criminals. Everywhere you went, when you left Europe, you was escaping what? Fleeing from what? Persecution, you said it. Tyranny, you said it. Disease, you said it. Poverty, you said it. And you took it all over the world. Everywhere you went, you spread it. Because you didn't find any place that was impoverished. You didn't find any place was some under tyranny. You didn't find any place that they had people from another tribe or another people enslaved. You didn't find any of that. You didn't find a place anybody with disease. No, you brought it there. You brought it with you. See, and you gave it to everybody else and took their country and beat them down and impoverished them with your capitalism. Capitalism killed more people than any other system ever existed. It's a racist system when you understand it, because what you do is you said all human, so-called human and humankind, we all get the same amount of energy. Same amount. See? And the animals did get it also. But what we did is because of energy deprivation, we took and we preyed on, we started eating the animals, taking from them, because there was animals, right? So, hey, we felt we were superior to animals, so we could take and subject them and use them for food, whatever we want to use them for. So that allowed us to have access to more energy, because we were taking their energy for ourselves, for our own use. That was a way to minimize energy deprivation by taking the energy from the animals. That's what we did. So how did you get powerful? Because you reduced us to animals and took all our energy from all other people on the planet. You reduced them to animals. That's what you did, because that's what you said was all savages, right? With your Christianity, you took from all other people on the planet, took everything from them. That's how you got powerful and rich, because you said, we're animals, we deserve it. It belongs to you. And that's what you still think, because racism is how you got started. Racism is how you got rich. Racism is how you're going to maintain your wealth. And you're never giving it up. And now you're trying to say, oh, we ain't racist. Yes, you are. Because if you're not, then give everything that you've taken back to everyone you're taking it from. You're racist, and you can fool anybody else you want to. You're racist and the systemic racism. See? And start with Dr. Yakuka, we got a race now between their vision and our vision. See? So they can talk this no racism, whatever, but they make our people criminals. Talking about crime. But most of the crime is done by their people, the demons, their children, most of it. But they criminalize us because if they take and force us over here and under their religion, under their so-called culture, under their so-called ways and everything, and then when we resist that and want to follow our own ways, our own culture, our own nature, then we criminalize because we're against theirs. Anything against theirs is criminalized. That's how you set this system. Things that's against them, just like right now. In our society, right? Dogs are just a dog. See? But they love dogs. So remember Michael Vick went to prison because he beat up a dog or something? That would never happen under our system. You see? But that's it. So he was criminalized for doing something that his nature told him was okay to do. He was criminalized for doing something his nature told him was okay to do. You understand that, brothers and sisters? If you follow your nature, you will end up in prison. Because now you always got to double think yourself. Can I do this? Why? Why do you have to think yourself? Because in our culture, we didn't have to think about it. We just did what we do. Just like you see dogs trying to figure out what to do. They do automatic. Birds, they know exactly what to do. Dogs know what to do. Lions know exactly what to do. Snakes, but we don't know exactly what to do. Why? Because we're operating on a system and we have to make sure that what we do is okay with them. So we're always conflicted. So we have to think about what we're doing. Because we was in our land, we have to think what we was doing. We just did follow our nature. That's why our tribe was set up, right? Different places, because there was some difference in natures. So therefore, if you was amongst your people, you didn't have to worry about that. Or you just do what you normally do. But over here, you're criminalized for doing that. And then the people, our brothers and sisters in prison, right? Some of them are the best people on the planet because they're in prison because they didn't want to second guess themselves and started trying to figure out what's okay with massa. And don't tell me you niggas don't do that, because that's what you're thinking. Because you tell your children the same thing. Listen to what the master say. Listen to what the police say. Why you got to listen to what they say? What about listening to what you say? What's your nature say? Because if you listen to what they say, then you're going to get your own nation. That's why you got hypertension and everything else. That's why you're criminal, because you're criminal by the definition if you stay here. Because you're going against their ways, their nature, their laws is confirmed their nature and their so-called culture and their expectations. That's what their laws designed for. And your nature is not the same. The demons are, but yours ain't. So therefore, if you act on your nature, then you go in prison. If you don't act on your nature, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be satisfied because you're going to get your nature. So it's a crime wave. They've been the biggest criminals on the planet. It's not been crime since it's been here. Murder, which called murder, raping, all stuff done 40 years, was that not a crime? And they talking about, oh, it's criminal all cities. This whole country is a criminal country. They've been criminals against us for 400 some years. They're talking about, well, see the black criminals. Whoa. Let's move on, brothers and sisters.
It was another bloody weekend in several big cities as a U.S. Supreme Court has rejected a Virginia school board's appeal to reinstate its transgender bathroom ban. Lower courts ruled it unconstitutional. The case involved former high school student Gavin Grimm, who filed a federal lawsuit after he was told he could not use the boys' bathroom at his public high school. Gloucester County required Grimm to use the bathrooms corresponding to biological sex, female, or private restrooms. When we
Now see there? Listen to that. Now it started off wrong because it's she, he. Well, it's he. Why should he be able to use the boys' bathroom? Because it's she there. They're all confused, and he can't say she, right? Because then he gets sued. See, the whole place is crazy, and so we got to be careful because we know better than that. Because that's common sense. Because all black people are mathematicians by nature. See, but your nature has been subjected, superseded with this Christianity that takes away all mathematics. So you operate on an emotional level. They took away your power. They disarmed you because now they got you believing in stuff that don't make any sense, and you do it because you want to obey Master. You want to obey His laws. You don't want to be in trouble. You want to be in jail, and that's why you don't want to think analytically. You don't want to think critically. You don't want to. You're afraid to. Because if you do, you know what's going to happen to you. You're afraid to. Because that means you're acting on your nature. So you're afraid to think analytically. You're afraid to think critical analytically. Critically analytical. You're afraid to do it. Because if you do that, it means you're going to operate on your own nature. That means be against them. And they're afraid they're going to take you out. Because they're going to come and get you. But you have protection, but you don't even protect. You can protect yourself from them. Allah always sends messengers into an army, a nation of vipers, of monsters, and they prevail because they also know, you understand, he give them enough understanding of the wisdom so they can protect themselves. Look at Prophet Muhammad. Everybody gets him. He prevailed. He ended up taking over the nation. You see, look at Elijah Muhammad, third grade education, and he kicked ass 40 some years. And he was protected. See, not only from the God, but from the knowledge that he used and he applied it. And I've given you the wisdom to know how it even works. If you apply it, then you have total protection. There's nothing they can do to you. Like it says in the Bible, not one hair in your head will be harmed. Once you understand the wisdom and you apply it. They've had me in every kind of situation. They had me locked down in Guam for 3 years. Tried to put me in prison forever. Only thing I had protecting me was the wisdom, and I applied it, and I walked out of there, and they still can't figure how I did that. So, you have this thing here. They're totally confused. Totally confused. And they have you totally confused. Because the only way they can get the, all you black and so-called, all you Negroes out there back in the so-called Democratic Party, and they pushing this stuff. The only way they would, because that's against your nature. You saw what happened. See, you saw what happened in California when they passed that civil unions bill. They tried to pass it about 20 years ago, or whatever, 20, so forth. See, and you act on your nature because you said I ain't voting for that stuff, and it didn't pass. And then the gays came down on you like a ton of bricks. Why you didn't do that? It's like civil rights. This is civil rights. How come y'all want civil rights, and how come we kept our civil rights? They don't compare that shit they was doing with our civil rights. How you compare with that profane stuff they doing? See, that's how they think about you. Oh, it's our civil rights is on the same level, right, as them buggering each other. How the hell is that perversion they doing equal on the same level as our civil rights? That's how they think about you. Because they don't think about you. No, they wouldn't make that comparison. So they're totally confused. And so they came down on you, and because every now and then you let it slip and you let your true nature come through because you know you wasn't down with that. Most black folks ain't down with that. And when they did, what they did was is they sent all these demons out to convince you that yeah, you should go along with this BS. Women can go. You can go in any bathroom you want, depending on how you feel about it, right? You can have men compete against women in sports and all this kind of crazy, ignorant stuff. And, and you ride along with it because there's nowhere in the world you could be with if you're thinking critical analytically. So they've suspended that because they gave you Christianity. And so once they gave you Christianity, right, they suspend all your ability to think critically, analytically. See, so they got you emotionally. So that's why this whole country is all crazy. See? Because there's no critical analytical ability is being taken away from them also. See, they gained power, right, by starting to think in critical. See, they adopted mathematics. So everything you see right here is based on mathematics. They adopted it, and that's how they took power by using that to overcome us and take everything from everybody else. Because everybody else was suspended. I mean, everybody else was doing their thing, but everybody else was in some kind of religion. The Buddhists, Confucian, right? And they was all had suspended critical analytical. And so once they picked up mathematics, they went back to being it is, and they was able to kick everybody's ass with that. So now it's being taken away from them. They're confused. See, they've been said. I can't go into all the details about it, but part of the revelation of the angel is confusing them. So now you see the stuff they say makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. But some of you, it doesn't matter because you have no sense for it to make sense.
U.S. Supreme Court has rejected a Virginia school board's appeal. An athlete who qualified for next month's Olympics in Japan is receiving some criticism tonight for turning her back on the U.S. flag. National correspondent William Martinez tells us what Gwen Berry is upset about.
I'm one of the best hammer throwers of all time, and I'm proud to be a U.S. Olympian. But you want to know what I think about racial injustice in America?
Gwen Berry posted this opinion piece for the New York Times after the U.S. Olympic Committee suspended her for raising a fist during the national anthem in 2019.
The freedom, liberty, and justice for all is not for black people.
Over the weekend, Berry did it again, this time turning her back on the flag at the Olympic trials. Reaction was swift. We don't need any more activist athletes. She should be removed from the team. We have a culture now in our country, and it's growing. A culture of people who disrespect our nation, disrespect our flag, and disrespect our anthem.
Listen to that Negro. Listen to that Negro. Listen to him.
2019
Hold on. Let's listen to him. Let's listen to him again. This demon.
People who disrespect our nation, disrespect our flag, and disrespect.
You see him? Listen to him. This some kind of NFL guy. See? See? These are demons. Now, how in the hell is that our flag? Jack Brewer. See? He got the master's name. He can't say Master Force on him because he's rich, famous. He could change his name to anything he want to. But he kept that name because he loved it, because he's Master's child. That's his real name. Why? If he change it, he'll be telling a lie. That's his real name, because Master's his father, so he's supposed to have his father's name. That's why demons keep those names. And listen to him. Listen to him. Listen to him. And a lot of you out there say, hey, you write down what he's saying. This is demon. This clown here. You know, he went over there and got his eye knocked out over in the Middle East. See, then you're going to blame them. What you doing over there to begin with? They ain't over here. Sick people.
She should be removed from the team. We have a cult.
She be removed from the team. Why? Why? Because she speak her mind. That's what you said America's supposed to be about. She wasn't shooting anybody. She wasn't kicking anybody, right? She wasn't shouting and yelling. She was just expressing her view. That's what you say you're supposed to be able to do. But no, that's what it said. Bricks without mortar. See? That Constitution right there don't mean shit. It only means something when they want it to mean something. Otherwise, because anyway, remember, give me liberty or give me death. Right? Did they walk around and protest, sit in when they got tired of Britain? They say, oh, violence is never the answer. Well, that was the answer for them, wasn't it? When they went against so-called Revolutionary War. You see? They say anything out their mouth. You can't believe, you listen to these people, you'll be insane if you listen to them. But they got you on an emotional level, so you believe anything they say. See? So, she just said she don't want respect. She got every right to say that. And I agree with her. So she'd be kicked off the team. See? But when you disrespected the British flag, which you already give allegiance to, and Washington Jefferson disrespect the British flag, which you gave allegiance to, you didn't think you'd be kicked off the team. You thought that was right. That was good. You praised those people. They stood up, man. They resisted tyranny. They resisted, oppression. But when we do it, oh no, you can't do that. Violence is never the answer. Violence is never the answer. And you can't go against the flag. Well, you went against your flag, what you swore to, because he was your king. You went against that and went violent. You see? So y'all full of shit, all of you. And this clown right here, just listen to him. First class demon. That Kobe and all the rest of them. And you don't get it, and you're so happy because they run around playing their little basketball. They wouldn't be able to do that if they weren't master's children. Remember Kopernik? Right? He was half one of them. As soon as he said little thing they ain't like, they shut him down there, kicked him out the house. He know where his blood is. He know where his parents are. He know where his blood is. Right with daddy, he gonna say anything daddy wants to say because he don't have any problem with that. See? So he got daddy's name, look like daddy, and he, and I don't even gonna ask who he's married to. Probably already guessed that one. It's like Kanye. He talk all that bullshit, right? But out of 17 million black women, he couldn't find one. And all the shit that black women went through in this country, we should be kissing their ass. They still gave us birth. They still gave our baby, produced our baby. They stuck with us through all that shit. For 40-some years, that's true love. And then as soon as you get two nickels, you rub together, you run and get the enemies and leave them out in the cold, homeless, with nothing. And I'm gonna just go a little old board here. You're just an asshole. Call profanity if you want to. Profanity is only when you use the wrong word in the wrong context. That's profanity, and this is quite context for that. These sisters went through all they went through, and then as soon as all y'all Negroes get 2 nickels, you run to master's children and want to marry one of them, and there's just cold out there. Then you talk about calling bitch and everything else. You think you ain't sick? You think you're not going to pay for that? Who's your mother? Went through all this stuff for y'all. Produce your babies. Some of them died protecting you from massa. You got in trouble, they took the weight. Hey, I did it. Cried for you when you got hurt, or master saw you someplace else. Cried, broke their heart. And how do you reward them? Yeah, bitch, you ain't no damn good. Hip for you. You know, I'm going to get me one of them. One of them. Need you. Tired of y'all. Black ass. That's your attitude. That's his attitude. That's all of attitude. Kanye's attitude. That's what he's telling you. That's what Kobe's telling you. Y'all love Kobe to death. That's what he told you. Black woman ain't good enough for him. He grew around black women all his life. He came out of a black woman, but he couldn't find one. So where that money? Money going down south of the border. They're all like that. Master's children. That's why he talk like he talk. He had no look, a straight face. Our flag, our country should be disrespected. Why not? See, he shouldn't. He because he's master's children. I mean, no, that's his daddy. So his daddy made that flag. His daddy wanted to rape us and everything. So of course he's gonna be on daddy's side. And that's the trick. That's how he trick us. Because he looked like us, walk us, talk us, but when he opened his mouth, whoa! See, once he opened his mouth, he revealed who he is. Because the stink coming out of there is like, ooh, what's come out that fool's mouth?
Culture now in our country, and it's growing. A culture of people who disrespect our nation, disrespect our flag, and disrespect our anthem. Following her 2019.
Disrespect our country, disrespect our flag, disrespect our anthem. Our country. The country belonged to Indians, so there's, you know, right? Our flag, who made the flag? What was the, when that flag was designed, what was black folks doing? Even the demons. See? And the anthem, oh, say, can you see by a star? You know, all this crap, you believe that stuff? That applied to us? They showed it to us when they was doing that. The land of the free, home of the brave. When they made that song, right? The land of the free, was you free? And how brave it is to be raping toddlers, little boys and girls, and raping men. Oh, they rape men. They rape you too. They had this thing called butt breakers. See? They have these people go around and they rape the male black slaves in front of everybody else. Land of the brave was land of free, home of the brave. People are sick to the core. And Farrakhan wants to bring him. Hey, let's bring some skunks into the house. Now, your daddy told you he wanted to bring some skunks in the house. You say, are you out of your damn mind? But now he's trying to change his tune. He wanted to bring them into the NOI. He said, I got the tapes. That was his goal. They ain't what Farah taught. They sure ain't what Elijah Muhammad taught. They sure ain't what Farah taught either. Farah Muhammad. See? Because he's a demon. He's one. He wants to stay here. Forget the Abrahamic covenant. See? It's sad. See? And instead, see, stand up for this black woman who got more balls than he got. He gonna she disrespecting my flag and my country and my anthem. She got more balls than all of them got. Thank you, sister. So you might not, maybe some other issue. I'm with you on this one. We're about other stuff later on. Man.
Protest, Nike and Verizon dropped Berry, but Puma stepped in and supports her effort to abolish the Olympic rule that bans political, religious, or racial demonstrations during the games.
I'm ready for Tokyo.
Think about it. The reason why they didn't ban it before. They banned it because black folks are taking over it. It's just like this thing about compensation. Because most black kids was had scholarships at college, so they didn't want to have no money. So it went to all the white guys. And they finally struck that down. It was all white kids. They wouldn't have done anything like that. So they got this ban because they know it's the black people that's going to protest because they don't want you. They don't want nobody to know you protesting because they tells everybody we happy. We was happy Negroes. We love being slaves. That's what telling everybody. So once you get a voice, because she got a voice. Once you get a voice that people can hear, see, once you get a megaphone, anybody got a megaphone can't talk because you got a megaphone. That's why they put that law in there. If it wasn't, they wouldn't have it in there. They put it in there because what those people back in the 60s when they raised their hand like that there, that's when hey, we got to stop that. Because they want the world to know, right, what's really going on over here. We happy. We good. So that's why I put Obama there. Obama wasn't one of us. See, they happy. We see, and they're all over the world. You got bad. You mistreating your people. What the hell have you been doing to us for 400 years? And they tell the person that runs Syria, right? Tell me, oh man, he kills his own people. Who the hell was Lincoln killing? Civil War. Wasn't he killing his own people? See, critical analytics. They're full of shit, all of them, from top to bottom. Killing their own people, right? What's in Civil War is who Lincoln killed? Martians? Just full of it. Oh well, capitalism, Marxism kill millions of people. How many people did capitalism kill? Capitalism, the reason why we over here. See, it's all bullshit. There's reserved the color like they want to color it. See, slavery wasn't so bad. Well, why don't you try it? People are sick. That's why they're going down hard. Or they're going down hard. This is the year for them to go down. And they say it's going to go down subtly and totally and hard. Most people you see right now out there, they're going to be in chains before the end of the year. And they're not coming out. Uh-oh, back. I didn't finish it.
An athlete who qualified for next month's Olympics in Japan is receiving some criticism tonight for turning her back on the U.S. flag. National correspondent William Martinez tells us what Gwen Berry is upset about.
I'm one of the best hammer throwers of all time, and I'm proud to be a U.S. Olympian. But you want to know what I think about racial injustice in America?
Yeah, definitely.
Berry
Oh,
posted this opinion
you want to hear that, did they?
after the U.S. Olympic Committee suspended her for raising a fist during the national anthem in 2019.
The freedom, liberty, and justice for all is not for black people.
Exactly.
Over the weekend, Berry did it again, this time turning her back on the flag at the Olympic trials. Reaction was swift.
We don't need any more activist athletes. She should be removed from the team. We have a culture now in our country, and it's growing. A culture of people who disrespect our nation, disrespect our flag, and disrespect our anthem.
Following her 2019 protest, Nike and Verizon dropped Berry, but Puma stepped in and supports her effort to abolish the Olympic rule that bans political, religious, or racial demonstrations during the games.
I'm ready for Tokyo 2021 and my next podium. And when I get there, I want to be able to raise my fist and my voice without being punished.
You have to stand proudly for the national anthem.
Why?
Well, you shouldn't be playing.
Contrast President Trump with today's reaction from the White House.
Means respecting the right of people granted to them in the Constitution to peacefully protest.
While banned by the International Olympic Committee, punishment for demonstrating games is up to each athlete's home country. Meaning, don't be surprised, say experts, to see more U.S. athletes not honor the flag or the anthem while in Japan. Brett?
William, thank you.
The National Archives Task Force on Racism is claiming in a report that the library's rotunda here in Washington, D.C., which houses the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, is an example of what it calls structural racism. Its report also says the Founding Fathers and other white, historically impactful Americans are portrayed too positively. One conservative critic says that report is the radical left's latest attempt to sow division and
Think about that. They presented too positively, talking about Washington, Jefferson, and the like. How could you ever tell them anyway, but piece of shit? I mean, they talking about Hitler and these guys, and we supposed to be all upset about Hitler, never did anything else, but we supposed to, love them who treat us worse than Hitler ever treated those people over in Germany. See? So how can you treat positively? It's like saying, man, well that shit, that we can eat that shit and that we shouldn't eat that. They were sick. There's pedophiles. They're rapists. They're oppressors. They're racists. There's nothing you can say good about Jefferson. They wrote this Declaration of Independence and all this kind of bullshit, right? So was your name in that? What was they doing it? See? What was they doing it? Was they, while he was writing that, right? Were they sticking something in one of those sisters' mouths or something? These people are sick. When they wrote that stuff, they was raping, sodomizing black men, women, children, toddlers, feeding alligators. And then they say 3/5 human. And so we supposed to worship that document? And how can you cast in a positive view? Well, man, you talk about freedom. It was a freedom document. Well, the Bible talks about freedom too. Freedom, justice, equality. Islam, you heard about that? We had that before we came over here. They said, oh, well, y'all were savages. Okay, if we were savages, right? That means we were free, weren't we? We was totally free. The gorillas out there, they savage, ain't they? Are they free? Are the hyenas out there free? Until you put them in a cage, take the freedom away from them. That's what you did to us. So you didn't give us freedom. You didn't help us. You took freedom away from us. And then we got to worship these monsters who they could teach Hitler some lessons. But we're supposed to honor them. And there's something wrong with us if we don't honor them. There's something wrong with you if you do honor them. See? Oh, well, because they would give them too. Yeah, well, I agree with that. They shouldn't give any positive, nothing be positive said about them. I can't think any positive saying about them. Ask the Native Americans. Jefferson was a total stone cold murder. I'm pretty sure Washington was in the same vein. Remember, they presided over a nation. They was presidents. They presided over a nation and they didn't do anything about it. And they was practitioners in it. Practitioners. They didn't do anything about slavery, oppression, or rape, murder. They was actually involved in it themselves. So you told me they're not raging monsters? Or they was men of their times. Well, show me in the Bible where Jesus says, well, if you was a man of your times, okay, you rape, doing that, okay, in summertime you can rape and murder and sodomize all you want. Say you reap what you sow. And say there'll be a judgment. And judgment ain't about what you did today, yesterday, just about everything. We say going to judge the nations, or you judge the nation for one day. No, their whole history. So America's judged for its whole history. What you think that's going to turn out like? Where their works? Their works are the righteous Jesus or the works of Satan? Structural racism. Oh, we're not structural racist.
Right, history. Secretary of State Tony Blinken.
Sick people.
An athlete who qualified for next month's Olympics in
Well, how keep going back there. Okay. So, brothers, if we get ready to wrap this up, you brothers and sisters that are angel warriors, you the beacon. Because you just saw. That's total darkness we just saw. To them it's light. That's total darkness we just saw. See? But you beacons in that darkness. And pretty soon, right, you're going to light up America, and they're going to be in the darkness. Because our light is their darkness, right? And our darkness is their light. See? So you're beacons for those of us who are looking for light can find. Because there's brothers and sisters that look at you. Weren't some of you looking for the light? And you found it. So now you got to get out there and be a beacon, because there's others out there doing the same thing looking. And they'll run across you. The bigger your beacon, right? Right? The brighter your beacon, easier for them to find you. But if you turn your beacon off, then you did disservice, because now they can't find you, but there's nothing to find. You're a beacon in the darkness, brothers and sisters. Those you angel warriors out there, you're beacons in the darkness. See, I was a beacon for you. And I stayed steadfast for over 30 years in the dark, just shining light. And some of you were looking, and then you saw it. And there's others out there just like you. If you others like you. So you got to get out there and be a beacon. We got to be beacons all over the country. See? Because there's some people out there, one think analytically, one think critically, but some of them they can't because they don't know how, because they've been taken away from them. Some of them are too afraid to. So when they say a light there, because remember, people fear, a lot of people fear darkness, but light encourages people. So when they say a light there, they be encouraged, and they can get out of their fear and start thinking analytically, critically. Because now it's a light, and they ain't by themselves anymore. You know, when you're in the dark and you're by yourself, you get afraid, so you might, you cower. But now they see a light, and they come to the light. And so now they become a beacon, because they see you ain't by themselves anymore. That encourages them. And the more light, the more courage they have. Like I've encouraged you, and I've given you light. So now you got to be a beacon. You got to still be a beacon. You see, I'm a steady beacon. I'm not slowing down. I ain't letting anything slow me down. Somebody said, well, you're doing too much. My wife, she gets upset. You need to slow down. I said, she went on vacation. She wanted me to go with her. See, I said, no, honey, we have time for that. See, but my people need me right now. And I'm going to keep on being a beacon. Said beacon, you don't stop and keep going around. You say, oh, you said enough, right? Okay, when the beacon just sit down. You just keep going, don't stop. And that's what we need to do, brothers and sisters, keep going. Faster and brighter, faster and brighter, faster and brighter. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. See all those little beacons around here? See? They start glowing, they become brighter and brighter and brighter. After a while, the whole country be lit up. Much faster than you think. See? Because we about to get a big fuel, a big burst of energy in a minute. Because when false Israel goes down, whoa. That's a big light within itself. Okay, brothers and sisters, hope you understand. All you gender warriors out there, angel warriors, see, you're not working in vain. See, we got to be that beacon. Because a lot of brothers and sisters out there, they ain't trying just you. You think it was just you looking for the truth? And then like some of them, like I said, they're fearful. They're out there and they're fearful. They're fearful of this dark thing. Because they know thinking analytically, critically, they got to act like that. That's not what Master wants. And they're afraid of Master. So when they see your beacon going, see, before Elijah Muhammad. See, all the so-called civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, all these people, they wouldn't have done that with Elijah Muhammad. They saw Elijah Muhammad going toe-to-toe with these beasts, and that gave them courage. That gave them some balls. Because they saw he was getting away with it. If he wasn't doing it, they wouldn't have done it. They weren't doing it before that. Think about it, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. Assalamu alaikum.